Hi, and welcome to another episode of Taking Stock Live. I'm Kalila Reynolds. Forgive the late start today and some of the technical issues. As you can see, my TV screen is doing some weird things behind me. I don't know what's going on, but whatever the case may be, the show must go on. Tonight, we have a great show for you as usual. But first, before I tell you about what's happening in our program this evening, I want you to let me know what part of the country and what part of the world you're joining us from. Leave us a comment in the chat. I like to see where our viewers are joining us from. So let me give you a little sneak peek because the Wisynco group reported a whopping $13 billion in revenue from their last quarter, showing off its solid financial performance and knack for raking in the big bucks. What's next for the manufacturing and distribution giant? We're going to find out. But before we do that, don't forget to hit that like button and also subscribe to this channel. And of course, like I said, let me know in the comments where you're joining us from. Now, here's a look at what's coming up in tonight's show, followed by what's hot in business. And of course, come on, let's get this money.
Manufacturing and distribution giant Wisynco brought in a whopping $13 billion in its third quarter alone. How did they do it, and what's next for the company? Chairman William Mahfood joins us live to discuss. And the analysts weigh in on the latest market developments. We look at Jamaica's $150 million catastrophe bond. Plus, there are some promising opportunities in the energy sector. We'll discuss.
But first, here's what's hot, brought to you by JMMB Group, your best interest at heart.
Mayberry Jamaica Equities is looking to raise over $2 billion on the bond market. The bonds are being issued in 3 tranches, each valued at $750 million. The first tranche has a dividend payout interest rate of 9.25% and matures in 13 months. Tranche 2 matures in 26 months and has a 10% interest rate. Tranche 3 matures in 36 months and has an interest rate of 10.5%. The offer opens on Friday, May 10 and is scheduled to close on June 7. The minimum subscription for this offer is 20,000 Jamaican dollars. Finance Minister Dr. Nigel Clark says the government can tap into other revenue sources if tax revenues are not enough to cover this year's national budget. This comes after news last week that the government's tax collections are falling slightly short of expectations. According to the Minister of Finance, tax revenues were $28 billion below target in 2023. Dr. Clark said the shortfall was mostly caused by a $14 billion dip in corporate income tax in March alone. However, he explained that some businesses did not file their taxes on time and the shortfall can be made up. On the other hand, he said that if tax revenues continue to be lower than expected, there are other sources of income that the government can use. Telecommunications giants Digicel and Flow have announced several prices increase beginning June 1. The changes will affect customers across the region. Digicel notified its Jamaican customers last week that some of its prepaid and postpaid plans would increase. Internet packages from both Flow and Digicel are expected to increase 5% in Trinidad. Flow customers in Jamaica can expect up to 12% increase in internet costs come June 1. The company said the move was triggered by increased content costs from international suppliers and other growing expenses. Real estate investment firm Kingston Properties is looking to repurchase around $37 million worth of shares from the Jamaica Stock Exchange. KP REIT is listed on the main market. The company said it plans to buy back the shares over the next 2 years. According to the company's board of directors, the move is necessary to help increase shareholder value, as the shares are currently undervalued. The stock closed Monday at $8.48. The U.S. Justice Department has increased its presence in the cryptocurrency space as more regulations emerge. Former Binance CEO Chan Panjao was sentenced to 4 months in prison for violating the U.S.'s Bank Secrecy Act. The act requires financial institutions to implement anti-money laundering systems, something Binance failed to do under Zhao. Binance is one of the world's largest cryptocurrency exchanges. Roger Ver, also known as the Bitcoin Jesus, was also charged by the US Department of Justice for $48 million in tax fraud. According to the FBI, investment fraud involving crypto rose 53% from 2022 to 2023.
What's Hot was brought to you by JMMB Group, your best interest at heart.
Hey! Perhaps I could be of some assistance.
Welcome back. I don't know what's going on with this TV. I'm trying to get the money, the Taking Stock logo back on, and it just keeps switching to some random stuff. So now I'm trying to turn it. All right, finally turn off. All right, welcome back to Taking Stock. Let me see who's joining us this evening and where you guys are from. We got Antoinette, Arizona in the house. We got Nana Sense joining us live and direct from far, far away. We got Jermaine saying hi from China. TV just magically came back on. I just turned it off. It's doing its own thing today. Jermaine from China. We got Earl in Helsha who says he's ready. Humble Boss says good night, checking in from the grill. Orville say I'm late. So this is why I was late, because I was trying to figure out what on earth is going on with this TV. JT says Cayman in the house. Raquel, good night, money makers. Good night to you too, Raquel. Roswell joining from Unity Hall. Let me see who else. Raquel, as usual, reminding us to like and come in, team. Like up the video. We always like it when you like the video. Jackie joining from Kingston 7. Dr. Lithium joining from outside. Christopher, all the way in Portmore, says, let's get this moolah. And yeah, I know there's a green box on the screen. Weird stuff is happening this evening. Keely joining from China as well. And Christine from Kingston 19. So welcome back to the show. We have a guest for you today that we haven't had on since COVID time. I was just looking through my notes. I'm like, when last has William Mahfood been on the show? And it was during COVID when circumstances were a lot different. And right now we're looking at a company that has really knocked it out the park in the last 9 months leading up to March 31, 2024, with an impressive 11% boost in revenue. So what's behind the company's success and what can we expect from the industry powerhouse in the coming months? Here to tell us more is Chairman of Wisynco Group, William Mahfood. Hi, William.
Hi, Kalila. How are you?
Trying to deal with technology today.
Yes. No, I was wondering if that green screen, the green around there on the screen is only me seeing it or...
All right. No, I didn't even notice that. I'm just seeing it now. So I'm going to turn that off. Give me a minute. I'm going to turn that off of the screen.
Problem. No problem.
Oh.
Technology sometimes has glitches. Understandable.
Autofocus. Live television, folks. All right, I'm back, and now the clock is on, so now I have to turn that off. Because I just spent the last half an hour before the show trying to figure out what's going on with the TV and didn't get a chance to calibrate the camera correctly, where should I be? Over here. All right, so now we're ready to start. Yes. Welcome back to the program.
As usual, it's always a pleasure to see you and to chat with you. I mean, it's, there's so much stuff going on right now in the company and in Jamaica, in the economy. So it's a pleasure to be here. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for agreeing to be on the show. So for those who are new to our program or who don't know much about you, William Mahfood, tell us how you got your start in business.
Sure. So I joined what was really a family business straight out of university. I did engineering in college. And I came into the business working in the warehouse and distribution center back in the late 80s. And at that time, Wisynco was really two major companies: Western Synthetics, which was plastics, rubber boots. Some people might remember Ironman water boots and sweet cups and plates. So, and then Wisynco Trading, which was the distribution arm. We started in the beverage business in 1995, but prior to that, I decided that I wanted to move us more into consumer products because we weren't really in foods and beverages and consumer products. So I started along with Andrew, who is now our CEO, in the very, very early 90s, around 92, getting us into consumer goods. And we started distributing beverages and food items. And then in 1995, we took the decision to start our own production for beverages with bigger soft drinks. And, 1996 until now, to put it kind of in context, in the first year of production with one machine, we did about 1 million cases of bigger soft drinks. Today, we have all told somewhere around, I want to say about 9 machines. And in between water, soft drinks, and cran water, energy drinks, etc., our total production this year should be somewhere upwards of about 30 million cases.
Wow.
So it's been a huge journey. We, in 2006, we started with Coca-Cola. We launched Coke in Jamaica. At that time, it had, one of the lowest shares of the cola market in the world per capita. Jamaica was one of the lowest. And that has also been a tremendous...
we know Jamaica traditionally as a Pepsi country.
Correct. It was a big time Pepsi country, but we've done a tremendous job, and the team at Wisynco has done a tremendous job in creating a great market share for Coke. It's pretty much 50-50 now with Pepsi in Jamaica. And then, we also started to expand the portfolio. As you know, we acquired a large 50% of Tradewinds, which is True Juice, and so we're in agro processing through that. Wisynco does all the distribution of those products through our distribution network. And then a number of years later, we acquired, and this is through the family holding company, we acquired 30% of Worthy Park, and we got into the sugar distribution as well as the spirits. So, Rum Bar, Worthy Park, and we've recently launched a whole range of spirits under the Worthy Park brand. And then following on that, we acquired 30%, and this is through Wisynco now, of St. Mary's, the banana chips snack, the tropical snacks from Jamaica producers. So we're partnered with Jamaica producers, which is now Pan Jamaica, with the tropical snacks. So the evolution was, started in consumer goods, early 90s, moving into beverages, and then continuing to expand in all those areas.
So would you say bigger was that one product that really took you out, like made Wisynco big?
I would say bigger was the product that got us really excited about beverages and pushed us into the category. It showed, if you look at the market growth over those, it's 1996 basically until today. So that is 28 years. And if you think about it's 18 years, is that right? 1996? No, it's 28 years. So over 28 years, the growth of beverages has been, remarkable, because in 1995, D&G was really the major and almost sole bottler of soft drinks in Jamaica. And today you have Lasco, you have, in water, you have Grace's multiple businesses in Catherine's Peak and so forth. And then you have Pepsi and then you have SM Jalil from Trinidad, and you have ourselves. So the market has exploded in terms of consumption, and a lot of that is because of the increased activity in the market. Typically you find consumers with activity and with promotion will consume more, and that's basically what has happened.
Very interesting how you've really made this company grow over the past 30 odd years. You now distribute and manufacture over 3,500 products, and that list keeps growing.
Yes.
What would you say accounts really for the success and the growth of this company?
So as we have built our network of distribution, network of customers, we focused on really, drilling right down to the customers and what their needs are. So, for example, today, and I'll give you a number of examples, but in snacks, for example, we do Pringles. It's a huge brand in Jamaica. People wouldn't even realize, and I think today Pringles is probably is probably growing at even still 20 to 30% per annum. But our snacks portfolio is made up of St. Mary's tropical snacks, Pringles, and Hers potato chips, along with Nature Valley granola bars. And then if you look at that portfolio in its entirety, if you were to take that, it's bigger than most snack companies in Jamaica. If you look at ice cream, for example, a great portfolio, Wisynco controls probably 90% of all ice cream in retail in Jamaica.
Really?
And how we do Helados Bun from Dominican Republic. We do Nestle Buckingham and Crema. We do Häagen-Dazs. We do Creamy, which is and I think this week we're launching the Devon House ice cream it's the same company. They're also on the stock exchange. We do
Who's on the stock exchange?
Creamy, the company.
Oh, Creamy. I
Yes.
thought you meant Devon House. I was confused.
No, so Devon House, the ice cream is manufactured by Creamy. It's the same, like sister company.
I did not know that.
Yes. So
I did not know Creamy does Devon House ice cream.
We're launching the retail product, I think this week. We also just took on the distribution for a brand called Vineyard Town, which is manufactured by a wonderful gentleman and his family and his wife in St. Mary. It's a coconut-based product, and then I've
had that product. It's really, really, really good.
It's very good. It's a lovely.
So when
product.
you say you do the distribution is only in Jamaica, or you distribute
at this point
Jamaica?
only in Jamaica. He's expanding his production. We just started distribution in maybe March of this year. But
in general, Wisynco only distributes within Jamaica or also outside?
So it would be our intention to take those brands, like the local brands, and export them outside into Caribbean initially.
So you do currently export some of your brands?
Yes, we do. So our export business today is still fairly small. It's about, we do probably this year a little over $1 billion a year. So it's about 2 to 2.5% of our current sales. And the biggest reason that it's not growing faster is because really we've had challenges with production capacity. And as you know, and we've said this many times in the recent future or the recent past, is we've put in a lot of capacity. So even in the last quarter, we did not really get the full capacity out of our new production that we installed. Between December and February, a lot of new capacity was installed. We're also putting it, and that's been streamlined and it's running smoothly now. Our anticipation is we'll see the effect of that installation and efficiency from it in the next couple of months. We're doing more in terms of investments in people. So we've increased our workforce, probably close to 400 people since November of last year. And we're also investing heavily in new technology. So we're focusing on a whole new ERP, a system that is going to drive us and the growth of the business into the future at a different level. So all of that being said, what we're seeing is we're building, Wisynco for the next 10 years. And the growth that we anticipate from all of these investments in terms of capital and people, technology, etc., should really augur well for the company and for the shareholders.
So I see Yamfoot commenting said, well, I clearly need to buy Wisynco stock. Lots going on.
Well, yes, there is a lot going on. And to your viewers, that we have installed this new capacity, we're seeing much better efficiencies. That would have been disclosed in our quarterly report. And even though we grew our revenues, still by about 10% or something, I felt that we could have done better. So one of the things I am a little bit, from time to time, I'm a little bit, I guess you could say, pushy and aggressive with our management team. It's constructive discontent, as I call it, where I feel that there's always more we can squeeze out of the orange, basically. So I'm very excited about the future, though.
I see some comments in the chat and some questions coming in, but first let me ask you about that revenue performance. Like we mentioned, it's up 11%. Can you tell us, how did you achieve that? So I know you mentioned some of the things being put in place for the future and for the next 10 years, but in this past quarter, how did you manage this growth?
So, it was not inflationary. So it's organic growth in terms of the business. So we did have some new business in the last quarter over prior year. So in November, we took on the distribution of Jamaica Teas, which is also another listed company. And Jamaica Teas has in their quarterly report, they also claim that they had a tremendous quarter because of that new distribution arrangement. So I think what a lot of companies are seeing is the Wisynco footprint in terms of our distribution, with almost 700 sales reps across Jamaica, visiting 13,000 accounts. We have almost 8,000 coolers, whether they're water or True Juice or Coke or Bigger or Boom Energy drink. We have 8,000 beverage coolers across the island, which every shop that you go into, you'll find one of these coolers where you can get a cold drink. That drives people to those outlets, and it helps to build up and elevate some of those businesses. We're doing the same thing with ice cream freezers. So we've installed across Jamaica about 3,000 ice cream freezers, some small little chest freezers that we put into outlets. All of those sort of extend our reach with these customers. And what then happens is companies like Jamaica Teas, like Vineyard Town, they see that opportunity for them to leverage Wisynco's distribution and basically jump on the train. And that has had very, very good impact, not only on those companies and their businesses, but also on our business as well, because we have this machine that can keep going down the road. And as I tell people, it's like you're clicking on more cabs onto the engine, and you just keep going and adding more business. The biggest issue that we face is one, ensuring that we can maintain the customer relations and service, and also ensuring that we can keep up with operations.
Let's take some of our questions from the viewers. First one comes from Devon. With all the recent expansion, why not do an APO to help offset costs?
So, well, that's an interesting question. But the truth is, if you look at Wisynco's balance sheet, we still have a lot of cash on the balance sheet. We've invested about a little over $5 billion in capital expansion in the last 6 months. But even with that investment, some of it coming from debt, if we were in need of more cash for expansion, yes, that would be a good avenue. At this point in time, we are still healthy, cash healthy, and a very, very strong balance sheet. So I don't think we'll need to at this point, but it could happen.
All right. Next question comes from Sean. What's the future vision or plans for Wisynco, and what objectives do you have to meet those goals?
Well, that's an excellent question, and we have announced that we're building a new factory right now. It will be completed, another 200,000 square feet. It'll be completed during the course of this summer. It's not connected. It's not a part of the existing business. So this new factory is going to be housing a whole new production facility. It will be new formats, new packages. We're looking at new packaging material. So we're putting some additional packaging in there, which would include things like glass and cans, aluminum cans. So it'll be also new products altogether. So put it this way, during the course of, I would say, the second and third quarter of our next fiscal year, which would be, September, October onwards, you'll start to really see the impact of some of this new production. So it's very exciting as well.
Indeed, exciting times ahead. Next question comes from Christopher. Are there any plans to go public with any of Wisynco's sister companies, such as True Juice or Worthy Park?
I will say, without divulging too much, we have had discussions along those lines. That is something that could be possible in the future, yes. But right at this point in time, those companies are performing well. They are, both companies, as we moved into them, had a fairly high level of debt. We've been working to get that debt down, and they're now pretty strong, both of them. So we're very excited about that partnership.
Tavares wants to know what's happening with the 32 by 500 milliliter water.
So I'm assuming Tavares is a customer, because that's a question that typically would come from a customer. So we just recently installed a new water line, and it should be able to give us double our production capacity. We were having limitations in supplies on our 600, which is a 20-ounce water, over the last, basically since about March last year. We really wanted to ensure that we were able to meet the country's needs in our main product, which is that 600 ml, 20 ounce. And once we achieve, full availability and wide scale availability, then we plan to start production of that again. So tell Tavares, please don't wait too long. You'll soon get the product available.
Okay, so it's just the size that is not currently in production.
Right, because our main seller is a 600 ml, and we don't want to short that product, for too long. So because it's such a high demand product, that product has to always be available. Okay. And I mean, I don't have to tell you, Kalila, the heat is on, right? It's been getting hotter and hotter. So
it's insane.
I think water sales in April were up like 40% year over year. It's really
year over year. So that means same time last year.
Yes,
we're up 40%. So last year, April and May, hot too. But this year, we're even drinking even more water than last year.
It's just growing at an unbelievable rate. And so a number of things have happened. I think we've changed consumers' perception about drinking more water. So people are more health conscious, drink more water for the health benefit. And then also there's a certain level of assurance that consumers get when they drink the water brand. They feel, you see people go into shops and they ask for the water. And they feel confident that they're getting, value for money as well as a good quality product every single time.
But you know what I don't like? When you go to most of the restaurants, if you want water, you have to pay extra. Like it's not the same. It's cheaper to buy a soda than it is to get a soda with a meal than it is to get a water.
You mean like in a fast food?
Right.
Yes. That doesn't make sense. Oh, well, it depends, because restaurants typically, we sell the bag in the box, which is the stuff that comes out of the guns, and then it's basically a concentrate that is mixed at the gun with CO2 and the water. So you end up with a finished product. The cost of that is much cheaper than a packaged product. So the biggest expense that the restaurant would have, and they use them as promotions, where they'll do a meal deal. For example, you buy a chicken sandwich, fries, and a drink, and it's like, $800 meal deal or whatever. So that's basically the drink is almost like a part of the cost of that meal deal, when they have to sell a water in addition to it, the differential is really the differential in cost between a cup of that drink versus a bottle of water.
Ah, got it.
Yeah.
So that's why it's more expensive, because the
Yes.
water is packaged individually in that
Correct.
bottle.
Correct. It's more expensive package.
Question from Instagram, JMD Stocks 101 wants to know any new products on the horizon.
Well, that's what I was saying earlier. With the new factory coming on stream in September of this year, we should start to see new products coming out of that line. So some really exciting. This is going to be innovation that Jamaica has never seen the likes of. But I'm excited about it. I have to tell you, I'm really excited. As you know, in my 37 years in the company, we've done a tremendous amount in terms of building, new products, new brands, etc. But we have really focused on bringing to market a bunch of exciting new options, and we're coming again with a whole range of exciting new things.
Speaking of exciting new things, question from Andrew. Any local athletes representing water at the Olympics?
Yes, we have. So actually, there is a whole new campaign coming out in time for the Olympics, and Sharika Jackson is one of our ambassadors, brand ambassadors, as well as the Clayton twins. So we do have a number of athletes focusing on with the water, and water has done a lot as a brand. I think it's one of the reasons that the brand resonates so much with the consumers in Jamaica. I mean, it's schoolboy football. You look at track and field. You look at Premier League, national football. I mean, let's not underestimate, that this next World Cup, which is 2026, very, very likely Jamaica will be in the World Cup. Not the qualifiers, but in the World Cup in North America. And Wisynco through water has been a sponsor since 2002. We've been the exclusive water of the Reggae Boys and the Reggae Girls. Let's not forget the Reggae Girls.
I'll take two final questions. They're coming in, William. Gavin wants to know any plans for acquisitions in the near future?
Well, always looking because of our cash chest, the war chest that we like to say, we're always looking for opportunities. So it's likely that, over the course of the next year, you'll hear things. As a public company also, we can't really speak openly about it because these are things that impact share price and impact people's decision to purchase shares. So, but yeah, we're always looking, and any company of our size that has that wherewithal through the cash that we have would be foolish, because it's a very, very good way for a company like ours to grow inorganically, because the organic growth is still coming, but to leverage all of the distribution and the strengths that we have to build even faster.
Last question comes from Nigel. Any thoughts of cross-listing on the TTSC?
So I don't know if you're aware, Khalil, or if anybody has ever spoken to you, but the cross-listed companies between Jamaica and Trinidad, many of them are using, people are using the shares in Trinidad as a way to get foreign exchange out of the country. There is severe foreign exchange limitations. I don't know if you've ever heard this, but so what
I have.
Yes. So people will buy the shares in Trinidad and then bring them to Jamaica and sell them in order to get foreign exchange. And what that does, it depresses the value of the shares on our local market, because they're selling them at below the price that they pay for them in Trinidad. There is a arbitrage situation there. I don't see the benefit right now. We already have a fairly limited, amount of shares on the market, and the people who are long-term holders, the pension funds, people like the NIF, etc., those institutions are not really buying and selling shares. They buy and Wisynco would be considered a buy and hold type of share. We trade at a multiple probably higher than most of our peer group, but we also exhibit continued growth and have done for the last 5 years. So I think people who are in the know, and when they get the opportunity, they buy the shares and they just hold on to them.
Okay, so yeah, so like you said, no real benefit of cross-listing.
I don't see a benefit at
the
this
benefit
time.
really in the cross-listing is for Trinity companies
Correct.
cross-listing in Jamaica, but not necessarily for Jamaican companies to cross-list in Trinidad, at least at this time.
That's correct.
All right. Well, any last words that you want to leave us with, William?
No, I just want to say, I'm really pleased to be on the show, and you're doing a great job. I mean, a lot of people are talking about it. Keep doing it and keep exposing. I think the knowledge that you bring to young investors, I think is remarkable, and it's important for them to get the opportunity to listen to people like chairman and CEOs of companies who can impart some knowledge as well and wisdom when it comes to business, commerce, and investment.
And we appreciate you making the time. Thanks so much once again.
Always a pleasure.
Okay.
Thanks very much.
To our viewers, it is time for your poll question this week. What do you think about Jamaica's tax revenue being lower than expected for last financial year? A, how will this impact the 2024 budget? That's what you're wondering. B, it was an estimate, so it's no big deal. C, the government should have anticipated this. D, things can get back on track. Or other, just leave a comment. So you can take that poll on Twitter or on the community tab of our YouTube channel, or you can just leave a comment in the chat. What do you think about the government's tax revenue being lower than expected? A, how will this impact the 2024 budget? B, it was an estimate, so it's no big deal. C, the government should have anticipated this. D, things can get back on track. E, other, leave a comment. Now, have you signed up for the Money Mission community yet? We are turning 1 year old this month. Money Mission was pre-launched, soft launched in May 2023. So it's just about a year old. And if you haven't had that experience yet, here's a clip from last night's session, Money Mentorship inside Money Mission. Yeah, so you're absolutely right. There is high demand and low supply for that particular demographic. So when those properties become available, they go like hotcakes. Mm-hmm. And many times the price ends up going up because the supply is so limited. And then you end up outside of the band. But it's doable, and it's noble that you want to do it. Now, both of these plans that you mentioned are not immediate plans. Both of these will take some time to build out. And starting a firm, starting an app, you don't have the app idea yet. So what is your situation now? Because you recently resigned from your job. Are you financially stable right now? It's not that you're looking for immediate income. Right. So that was me talking to one of our mentees inside Money Mentorship last night. And that person recently resigned from her job, and she wants to execute 2 long-term plans. And we're just trying to make a plan, a strategy for how she is going to maintain income in the interim while she works on these long-term strategies. We had some really great conversations inside Money Mentorship last night, and I hope to see you at the next one. It's the first Monday of each month inside Money Mission. You can access with a basic or premium account. Go to moneymissionja.com to sign up. Up next, we've got your market recap, and the analysts are standing by.
Top 5 places to meet rich men in Jamaica. Number 5, we're coming in at AC Hotel Lounge / Bar. If you go here, you'll meet a lot of nice professional men who have jobs within the corporate area, whether in business, finance, or governance.
So this was a pretty accurate video. He gave some good places, but he actually missed one. Shh. You want to know where? It's the Money Mission community. That's where all the money people go to talk about money and figure out ways to make even more money.
The JSE Combined Index lost almost 6,000 points in April. 127 stocks traded across the main and junior markets for the month. 44 made gains, 76 lost value, and 7 stayed the same. Just over 1 billion shares changed hands on the Jamaican dollar market, valued at $4.9 billion. Now here's a look at some of the highlights for April. The main and junior markets both lost around 2% last month. The financial index was down 1%, and the manufacturing and distribution index was mostly flat. Trans-Jamaican Highway was April's most traded stock. It took up 58% of market volume, with 615 million shares changing hands. The stock opened May at $3.15. Spur Tree Spices was the month's second most traded stock. The stock lost 50 cents to open the new month at $2.42. And Wigton rounded out April's most traded. The stock lost 2 cents to open May at $1.10. Now let's see who had the biggest gains for the month. Honey Bun was up 24% to open May at $7.67. JMMB Group 9.5% had the second biggest jump of the month, closing at $1.43. And Lasco Distributors was April's third biggest gainer. The stock was up almost 19%, starting May at $5.06. On the losing side now, MFS Capital Partners was last month's biggest loser. It lost 22% to open the new month at $1.35. And Cygnus Real Estate Finance USD fell 19% to open May at 9 cents US. Over on the Trinidad and Tobago Stock Exchange, the composite index lost 14 points or 1% last month. Angostura Holdings was the biggest gainer, up 13%. It opened the new month at $22.78 TT. And on the losing side, Point Lisa's Industrial Port Development fell 10% to open May at $3.70 TT. Over in the US, the Dow Jones lost 0.5% in April, while the S&P 500 and the Nasdaq both lost around 1%. It was a mixed bag for motorists at the pumps last month, as the cost of 87 gas rose $3.93 in April, while 90 was up by $4.11. On the other hand, the cost of regular diesel fell $1.32 and low sulfur diesel lost $1.17. In foreign exchange, overall the Jamaican dollar weakened in April, losing $1.74 against the US dollar to close the month at an average $156.93 to 1 US. The JMD also weakened against the Canadian dollar and also weakened against the pound and euro. Finally, on the crypto markets, Bitcoin prices fell 5% over the last 30 days, trading at $65,388 US on Monday. While Ethereum was down 4%, trading at $3,216 US on Monday. Disclaimer: this is not intended as financial advice. Please consult a licensed financial advisor before making investment decisions.
Welcome back to Taking Stock. Let me take a few more comments before I introduce our analyst for this evening. Christine says, good night from Kingston 19. We have a viewer tonight all the way out of Uzbekistan, the diplomat of the era, straight out of Uzbekistan. Big up yourself, Uzi. Donald says, good night. The JSE app is not working. Which other app to view the stock market can be used? You can go to mymoneyja.com. I know there's a free plan and there's a paid plan. I'm not sure what all is available under the free plan, but you can check it out. mymoneyja.com. It's really intuitive. It's really good. And free ad for mymoneyja.com. Natoya says, I like Wisynco as a company, but it takes so much to move the stock price. Happens with a lot of the blue chip companies. Tavares says, people really asking for APO, Jaja. Well, one is out right now, NCB. Lanezra says, maybe JSE need to rethink that cross-listing rule when it comes to Trinidad. really not beneficial. Then we have Odetta. Hey, Odetta. Odetta, you recently crossed 1 million subscribers on YouTube. I think it's 1 million. It's a big number. It's a big deal, a big moment. Big up Odetta Rocket Car. You guys go follow her here on YouTube. She has a big channel on YouTube, Jamaican to the world. Sean says the government should have anticipated this. This is regarding our poll question and the revenue being less than expected. He says the government should have anticipated this. Businesses and individuals have been asking to push time to pay taxes to April. So yeah, as you may have heard in What's Hot or in my feature in the bottom line earlier today, one of the reasons they didn't make their revenue targets is that the corporate income tax, the people who pay the business taxes, filed late. So a big shortfall in March. So that money is probably going to come in April. They filed late. And like Sean is mentioning, businesses and individuals have been asking to push it to April. This is something that has been discussed before. I don't know if it will be implemented. I know it is something that has been considered because I've heard it mentioned in Parliament. Mark Golding mentioned it during his budget presentation. Nigel also mentioned it. So let's see what happens. Christopher says, goes to show that the finance minister knew what he was doing when he didn't increase the tax-free threshold to $2 million or above. He simply couldn't afford such a large threshold increase. All right, so lots of comments coming in. Keep them coming. Up next, we have the analyst. Let me introduce our guest for this evening. That is Julian Morrison from Wealth Watch JA. Welcome back, Julian.
Hey, Kalila.
You were missed last week because we teased it and we said Julian is going to be on to talk about energy. And the people said, no, man, make sure Julian come on next week because we want to hear about energy. And we like Julian. So here you are.
Thanks for the support, guys.
For the people. Your fans demanded your presence.
So thank you so much. Well, I'll just be brief. Just going to give a basic breakdown of the case for energy. So normally we like to start top down with the story behind the sector itself. So essentially, energy prices, they've been on the upswing since the start of the year. That has a lot to do with energy supply being behind energy demand. Now, we are still feeling the effects of the post-COVID recovery on the global economy itself. It's still in restart mode, which means that we have an above average growth rate for most territories, which means that growth has to be powered by energy. Now, the opposite side of the coin is that the Eurozone is having some challenges with that restart for several reasons. So it's a mixed bag, but most of the larger economies are still in expansion mode. And this is a bull case for energy supply. But energy supply is still lagging the need. And for that reason, the price has been up. In addition to this, we've seen quite a bit of geopolitical tension, war risk. So this is largely in the Middle East and also in Europe because the Ukraine-Russia war is actually escalating. We're hearing more and more about NATO being involved in a direct way. Instead of sending weapons packages to Ukraine, there's more talk of sending boots on the ground. And as we know, a war machine not only has to be financed, but it has to be powered by energy. And it won't be green energy, it will be traditional energy. So just to quantify this, the WTI, which is the West Texas Intermediate oil price per barrel, is up 9% year to date. Just a couple of days ago, it was up about 14%, but it fell quite a bit in recent times, meaning in the last couple of trading sessions. But this could actually reverse in the near future because from a big picture standpoint, demand is still far above supply. So the prices now are actually somewhat in the middle. They are 16% below the 52-week high, but 62% above the low. So it's somewhere in the middle, and overall, it's up just shy of 10% year to date. Again, the US economy itself is losing pace, which is the largest economy in the world, but we're still seeing a lot of spending strength from the consumer. And this is the largest part of the US economy, i.e. consumption. And the services part of the economy is actually bigger than the goods producing part of the economy. And that has shown strength since 2022, essentially. So there's a strong bull case for traditional sources of energy. Now, in terms of where investors can look, there's ExxonMobil, which has a PE of 14.3 times. The return on equity is 16%. So we want stocks with high return on equity and low PEs, which means that the company is performing well relative to the valuation. So it's making money relative to its price. We don't just look at the price in isolation. We want to care about performance. And is that performance carried by the price? So a low price and a high ROE means that there could be a bargain, especially if the company has a track record of performance. So ExxonMobil is a market leader. The larger players, they don't just distribute energy, but they produce it as well. And when companies produce energy and distribute it, they have more pricing power, which means more profit margins, which means more dividends. In light of dividends, ExxonMobil gives a dividend yield of 3.2%, and the S&P 500 average is 2%. So it's 50% greater than the S&P 500 average. In terms of dividends alone, the price is $116.17 as of today. Another opportunity is Chevron. It has a similar PE of about 15 times. Return on equity is lower, which is 12.6. The dividend yield is higher, however, at 3.8, which is just shy of 4%, almost double the S&P 500 average. And respectively, Exxon is up 16.2% year to date, and Chevron is up 9.1% year to date. And Chevron is trading at $162.67. So these are two options investors can look at. If these prices are too high, I know a lot of the viewers don't want to hear about $100 and odd dollars US, then we might be able to look at an energy ETF, being able to look at a more diversified set of energy assets at a cheaper price.
So let's explain for some of our newbies what an ETF is.
It's an exchange traded fund, which means that instead of buying an individual security, you can buy into a fund of investments. So it's really a managed portfolio, a professionally managed portfolio. You pay a management fee for that expertise, but instead of buying one security, you buy a basket of stocks. And you can buy a basket of just about anything. You can buy a basket of mining stocks, you can buy a basket of wood producers, cattle producers, cattle rearers, raw land, just about anything you can think of, there's an ETF for it.
And where do you buy into ETFs? How do you get to invest in those?
You can use Interactive Brokers or another online trading platform, and you can put in an order. You can search for it by the ticker, but you can find the names of it online, and you can use ETF.com to actually screen these investments and compare them to see which one has a lower management fee, which one is more liquid, which one is bigger, which one has performed better over time, and ETF.com is actually free.
Awesome. You mentioned in your overview, Julian, that you're bullish on traditional energy companies, and it's interesting that you should mention that because when we look at like the EV market right now, see it looked like people done with EVs. People are not feeling it anymore. Do you think that will make a comeback?
Well, I think long term, there's a case for both. And I think what we'll see is a more mixed energy transition where there is a mix of traditional and non-traditional energy solutions as it relates to powering our economy tomorrow. However, when we talk about the sustainability of driving infrastructure across the economy, so we're talking about our highways, our power systems, just about anything that consumes energy, there's almost no feasible replacement for carbon-based energy, unfortunately. Even though we'd like to think that we can just replace everything with solar power, wind power, etc., it's either not efficient enough in terms of output per hour, or it's too expensive, or a lot of the solutions are still experimental. So it means that as a species, we just have more experience using traditional energy sources, and we built our entire economy around it. And we haven't spent enough time finding solutions around or alternatives around carbon-based energy to be able to totally replace it as yet. There's no chemical compound or natural resource that is sustainably able to totally replace carbon-based energy, which is why we're seeing so much mining activity in Guyana. It's really because these companies have not invested enough in energy infrastructure, and the demand is just outstripping supply. And because of that, they've had to look into new sources, look into new places to mine, and that's how Guyana ends up on the radar. Because what's interesting is that the closer okay, so we have to dig for energy, and the closer the oil is to the surface, is the cheaper it is to harvest. Let's use the term harvest. It's easier to harvest the closer it is to the surface. So the deeper we have to drill for energy, is the more energy it takes, more effort it takes, the more time it takes, and the more expensive it is. So it means that if energy producers can find more oil that's close to the surface, i.e., new places, new spots to find oil, it means that they can continue supplying oil not only more sustainably, but also at a cheaper price. So the scarcer oil gets, is the more expensive it will be, and the deeper the oil is in the earth, is the more expensive it will be. And oil is not infinite.
What's
Sorry,
going on
guys,
with your
my dog.
dogs outside?
Yeah, I don't know
Somebody
what's
trying
going
to
on
break
outside.
in?
I'm sorry, guys.
That's okay. It happens. Trust me, I've had my own set of issues this evening.
Yeah,
Somebody
my,
wants to know
hold on.
live TV,
Yeah,
let me
my
tell
dog
you.
died. I'm sorry, guys. Yeah.
In the meantime, I have Michael saying, welcome back, Julian, and Raquel shouting you out as well. Christopher wants to know, what about Parkland Core?
I haven't followed up Parkland Corp, but I can do some research and get back on it. But I don't follow Parkland. If you
Okay.
want to talk about it, you can message me and we can talk about it. But I haven't followed Parkland. I normally follow Exxon and Chevron. There's another company named Hess, but Hess is not as attractive as the other two, but it's still there. It has a lower dividend yield. It's 1.1%. It's up, which is half the S&P 500 average, which is not really exciting. The PE is actually higher, so it's actually more expensive relative to its price, meaning you're not getting as much of a bargain as the other players. It's trading at $158.69, and it's up 10% year to date. But yeah, I mean, if there's better out there, then why not? But Hess is another one. Since you're looking for another one, then sure.
What have you been following Tesla?
Yes, but not in a while. It's been a few years. I was never a Tesla bull because I'm into motorsports, and I know that motorsports in terms of engineering is a very steep experience curve. It's very hard to build a vehicle and a platform that's reliable. So Tesla has struggled with reliability in the beginning, like any other startup, fine. So they've been able to build out their fleet and supply the market consistently. But what we need to remember about certain products is that every product has to scale on something as it relates to infrastructure, right? So we need to think a little bit like engineers, unfortunately. If you have a cupboard that can only hold 10 cups and you're producing 20 cups every 5 minutes, then very soon you won't have anywhere to put any cups. So in terms of the cupboard, we have to think about demand, and not just demand from the standpoint of what consumers want, but what the grid can take, A, and B, how many charging stations are there per capita. So if you're supplying the market with all these products that need charging stations, but there aren't enough charging stations to reliably recharge these vehicles that are still new, they might still have reliability issues. People still have consumer habits, so they might not want to totally let go of the car they had before. It's working perfectly fine. They can get a cheaper car and have more gas stations to choose from than have to switch to a Tesla, learn how to operate a Tesla, get comfortable with the Tesla, and then get into the habit of using Tesla-based charging stations instead of regular gas stations. That's a lot. That's a lot for people to overcome. So it's not as straightforward as buying a pair of shoes because the inconvenience is far less.
Yeah,
And motor vehicles
I
are
only ask
complex.
because they're always in the news. Like Elon is such a drama queen. There's always
Man,
something going on with Elon Musk. He just
I'm not a
fired like
Elon. I,
10% of his workforce.
I'm not a okay. So I like things about Elon Musk, but he's not one of my top business leaders. But I like things about him. So we need, first of all, we need people like Elon Musk. We need people who will upset the apple cart because as a race we can't become stagnant. Meaning, as a human race, we need innovators. We need people who will build new things that we didn't know that we need. So I do think that Tesla itself is an achievement. Being able to roll out so many products and have them work and have them establish a market proof of concept is good because they've now forced the traditional auto manufacturers to take EV more seriously. And also, many governments in Europe have put laws in place to support demand for EVs. To say, guys, you need to switch. So Benz and BMW, they've had to take EV more seriously. But Elon, he seems a bit erratic and he's a bit of an idealist. And I kind of like pragmatism from leaders, not so much the idealism. So he's more of a creative than a business person or engineer to me. And that's not knocking him. As I said, it's necessary, but it's not my cup of tea. But I respect his achievements so far. And I never was a Tesla bull.
How important is the leader or the founder or the leadership of a company to your decision as an investor to take on an investment in a company?
It's critical because especially when a company is still young, because effectively we are betting on the visionary. So companies need leadership, companies need systems, and those two things feed into the outcomes, whether it is a product or a service. You can't scale a business on poor systems, and you can't scale a business on poor leadership. You might get lucky for a while, but it will catch up with you. So we've seen this story over and over and over. But for example, let's look at the local finance landscape for argument's sake. The reason Scotia is doing better than other financial institutions is because of management. So there are big players that are in the same market, offer similar products, but the outcomes are very different. When you look at the capital ratio, Scotia is far ahead. When you look at the growth rate, Scotia is far ahead. I mean, right now in this financial year and the previous year, many customers have shifted from other institutions to Scotia because Scotia has a different risk culture. And Scotia identified very early that we weren't just going to get this rosy outcome after the pandemic. There are going to be risks that are stubborn, and companies need buffers to deal with those risks. And Scotia knew this before. They prepared aggressively. They gave up making higher profits in a given financial year in order to survive in the long run. So they're focused on stamina and endurance. That's a mindset. And what drives these outcomes in businesses, your ability to pay dividends, your ability to move into new markets, your ability to have a cake and eat it, so to speak, has a lot to do with leadership and culture. It's not just, the company, because it's not the vehicles and the office and the desk and the chair that drives profitability and capital health, I should say, and growth over the long term. It's really the persons in the company. So I think locally we need to pay more attention to leadership. I mean, it's weird. We watch sports and we care about team players, and when this player leave this team, we realize the impact on the team because that player is gone, but we don't take that to business. It's kind of weird to me. But it's the same thing.
So if you're considering a Tesla investment, you can't separate Tesla from Elon, especially
Tesla
given
is Elon.
how
Yeah,
high profile Tesla
like
is
F1.
Elon, basically.
It's like F1. It's like F1. When Lewis Hamilton leaves Mercedes and goes to Ferrari, it won't be the same Mercedes. We can even use politics. Like, we notice the difference in the same political party when the leader changes.
That's
JLP
so true.
Seaga is not the same as Andrew Holness JLP. It's just different. It's the same party, but when the leader changes, a lot of things change. The spirit of the organization change. Same for the other political party. We can say the same thing with Republican Party in the US. Father Bush is different from son Bush is different from Trump. There's things that don't change, but the leadership makes a big difference, and companies are no different.
So Alton says the dogs in the background agree with your analysis. And I'm going to take this final question from Earl. Earl says, what about local energy? How should investors look at Wigton Energy and JPSCO in making money?
Okay, so Wigton and JPS are very different animals. If I had to choose, I definitely would say JPS, because JPS has they have the handle while Wigton has the blade. So Wigton is always bidding for the contract to be able to work with JPS, but JPS controls the entire infrastructure. Yeah, sorry guys. Yeah, pain of being a dog dad. However, Wigton started off doing well in terms of its listing. However, the energy infrastructure is outdated. They have a lot of outdated machines, and their capital base hasn't been able to sustainably replace those machines over and over and over. So in terms of their future productivity, there's a risk there. The management comes to the fore. They've mentioned the importance of changing gears, modernizing machinery, diversifying the income base of the company because of the risks. One, from the contract with JPS, and two, from the fact that the model is somewhat outdated in terms of the machinery. But Wigton needs a lot of work. There needs to be an investment made into it to modernize the machinery and to change the production mix so that there isn't as much reliance on one type of energy production. So they could go more into solar, for argument's sake, and become both solar and wind. And if that's being done, well, that can be ramped up to a different degree. And also a fresh re-engineering of their infrastructure as it is, because they are capital intensive. So all of their money is made from the machinery that they have. And if that machinery gets weak or unproductive, then it has a lot to do with their output, which affects their revenues and all of those risks. So I'm not really a big Wigton bull right now. Local energy, unfortunate thing with JC is that the market is so shallow. You don't have a lot of things to look at. But if you want to play energy, you could look at a FESCO, for argument's sake. They don't produce energy, but they distribute it, they sell it.
Yeah, and it's along the lines of the traditional energy that you mentioned that you're bullish on.
Yeah, so if I had to choose, I would go with FESCO or JPS. I wouldn't go with Wigton. But I'm not giving financial advice. These are just my opinions.
Let them know.
Yeah.
Please consult a licensed financial advisor before making any
responsible for anything that you do in your portfolio.
The information provided here is strictly for education
purposes
and entertainment purposes.
Yep.
Well, thank you so much for joining us, Julian. All the best. What kind of dogs do you have?
What do you call him again? Caribbean Terrier or dog? I have dog. I don't have dog. Dog. But they're nice. You know, I'll send you pictures so you know you can see them. But yeah, man, they're well taken care of.
What a name?
Okay, I have 4. So I have Jean Grey. I have Spike. Spike is a troublemaker. He's a beast. He's the problem. And then there's Chloe. Most of that was Chloe a while ago. Chloe is their mom. And there's Magneto. Yeah. Oh my gosh, man.
That's a fancy name, man. Jean Grey, Chloe.
Yeah. Long story.
Yeah.
But yeah, I take care of them.
All right. Well, thanks again, Julian. I've recently we're dog people now, so now I'm into dogs apparently because the household is into dogs.
Welcome.
So here we go.
You'll be happy for it.
All the best to you. Looking forward to seeing you again soon.
Yeah, man. Thanks. I'll be here soon. Thank you so much, Kalila. Bye, everybody.
We'll take our final break and come back with more of your comments. I'm Kalila Reynolds, the Money General, and I'm on a mission to help you get better with money. Join me inside the Money Mission community where I'll teach you how to manage money, make more money, and annihilate bad debt. Click the link in the description to sign up for your basic or premium membership. Let's get this money. Welcome back. Let's take the final comments. Eon says, interesting company and CEO. Didn't know they did all these different things, referring to Wisynco. Yamfoot said, I agree with William. Oh, thank you. Kalila is doing a great job educating us. Nicola wanted Julian's opinion on NCB, but Julian, sorry, Nicola, we ran out of time. However, I do have a video on NCB APO here on YouTube. You can check that out. I spoke to Michael Lee Chin. I spoke to Robert Almeida, as well as, oh gosh, what's his name, from Guardian Group as well. And you can, check out the overview of the NCB APO, which opens on Monday coming. And I saw, I think today, that the NCB bond is now closed, and your next opportunity is the APO. Nagash mentioning that Julian is a big X-Men fan, or maybe you are as well. Basil said Julian left out Mutt. And Brownie and Blackie get left out, right? Tyrone, Julian, big X-Men fan. I see Julian. Mancia, X-Men reincarnation. Sure, X-Men fan. Is more than one of the names from X-Men? I don't know X-Men that well. I'm guessing Magneto is from X-Men. The others are X-Men as well? I don't know. Philip says, Wigton is the largest renewable energy provider. I don't think there's a lot of risk there. And I saw somebody else saying that they disagreed. Here it is. Tavares, do not agree entirely with your Wigton analysis. Fair enough. And Orville says, ex-dog. I love that, Orville. Thank you. Ex-dog. I'm not sure what this comment here is. All right, cool. Any other comments, leave them in the chat. Let me know what's up. My skin, though. Tried out a new foundation, and I'm just first time wearing it, and it's like glowing on camera. Hello, makeup. For those who want to know, it's the new Fenty foundation for the ladies. Nagash letting me know Jean Grey and Magneto were the two standouts. And yes, I'm a fan myself. Okay, so Jean Grey is the other ex-dog. Marcel wants to know, when will the JSC come to Guyana? Guyana you guys have your own stock exchange. It's the Guyana Stock Exchange, so you can check that out. And if you want to invest on the JSC, you can do so from Guyana. Just go to jamstockex.com. You do need to, you can't just go to that. You do need to open an investment account here. Go to, where can I send you? I do have a list of the brokerage firms. I should post it in the chat. Or email me, Marcel. Email me. That's the best way. Send me an email or send me a DM on Instagram, and I can send you a link to my broker guide, which has the list of brokers that you can open an account with. And many of them you can do so virtually. You can do it online and open an account here in Jamaica. So JSC doesn't necessarily have to go to Guyana for you to be able to invest in the Jamaica Stock Exchange. And also you have the opportunity or the option of investing in the Guyana Stock Exchange as well. All right. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. We've come to the end of this week's show. Special thanks to William Mahfood, chairman of Wisynco Group, for our discussion, and to our analyst this evening, Julian Morrison. Thank you all for joining us for yet another week. Make sure to like the video, hit the like button if you haven't done it yet. Subscribe to the channel and share with a friend. Also subscribe to the newsletter at KalilaReynolds.com/newsletter, and turn on those post notifications so that you can be the first to see all my other features. You want to help people learn about money so we can all get this money together, right? Follow me on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok at Kalila Ray. Those are my only pages. I only have one account on each platform. Anybody else you see, that's a scammer. That's somebody pretending to be me. Report those accounts whenever you see them and block them. And of course, I do not ask you for money. I do not do Bitcoin or cryptocurrency trading. I also do not have a Telegram. So anybody sending you anything, some of them are so obvious. Somebody sent me a screenshot asking if this is me on WhatsApp. It was a WhatsApp number. And the number, it clearly says that this is Nigeria. It said the location is Nigeria. Like on the screenshot, it said Nigeria. Like, why would you think that is legitimately me? If you see that it says Nigeria, and you know I am not in Nigeria, I'm not Nigerian, I've never been to Nigeria. You don't even have to bother asking if that is me. That's obviously a scammer. Like, they're obvious signs that people are trying to scam you. So just report them whenever you see them. If you want to connect with our analyst this week, just check the description box below for Julian's contact information. Of course, visit the website, KalilaReynolds.com, for financial news and information however you like it. You can watch our programs. You can listen on the various podcast platforms, or you can read our articles and our reviews. Now, tell a friend about taking stock, because investing is the new sexy. So let's make it cool to talk about money. I'm Kalila Reynolds. Thanks for watching. See you next week.
Let's get this money.